So this is important. I'm on the outskirts of the village, and went past John Seaton's house, and he was in the window, woo, and he waved. He was happy, thank God, because last time I saw him, he wasn't happy. You don't know, do you know John? He's nice, but married to Vivian, no children. That's choice. Don't want any kids. Difficult for them because of their religion. They can't use conventional contraceptives. So they use their own method, the biscuit tin. I don't know. Brilliant. She's quite tall for her height. She's 5'12". 5'12". He's 5'2". They use a biscuit tin. He stands on the biscuit tin. He can reach her and give her his love. And she can gaze into his eyes. That's lovely. And when they start to go a bit wobbly, she kicks the tin out the way. Brilliant, brilliant. Works best with a shortbread tin. So, I was telling you why he's upset. Right, he worked on the estate, you know, there's a sausage factory, and he worked in the sausage factory, he was supervisor. And he had some overtime. And this particular night, early 80s, we didn't have the mobile phones much. So he said to Bob, who's his friend, could you go and tell Vivian that I am working late and not to do me tea, because I'll be about 3 hours late or something. He said, of course I will, love her. And he went a couple hours later. Bob went to see Vivian, knocked on the door, and Vivian said, hello, Bob, how are you? He said, I'm very well. John's doing overtime, so he will be home a little bit late. She said, well, thanks very much for telling me. He said, I've always fancied you. What? He said, oh. He said, if I give you 50 quid, will you make love to me? She said, don't embarrass yourself, Bob. I'll pretend this never happened. He said, £100. She said, don't, you're embarrassing yourself. Never. 200. He said, 200. She said, I don't think we should be talking. He said, £300. No, she's thinking, that's the gas bill. And a holiday in Torquay, Took the money, took him upstairs. And next morning, John's having breakfast. He got up late, been working. And he said, did Bob come round and tell you I was working late? She said, he did. He said, and did he give you the £300 he owes me? Right, so the thing... The thing about John, right, he loved it, it was in the papers. Cast your mind back about 8 years. And there was a gorilla escaped from Paignton Zoo in Devon. And he's getting up one morning, he's making breakfast in bed for Vivian, and then decides he'd be better off doing it in the kitchen. This is not difficult. So he's cooking breakfast, he's got a sausage and a piece of bacon in the pan. And the sausage looked up and said, flipping hot in here. Could you turn it down a bit? And the bacon said, I don't believe it, a talking sausage. So he looks... Not many of you are going to get that one. He looked into the garden. There was a gorilla in flipping apple tree, a gorilla. And he rang the zoo. He knew the number, 200. He said, is that Paignton Zoo? He said, yes, it is Paignton Zoo. He said, this is John Seaton in Exeter. I've got a gorilla in my apple tree. He said, I don't believe it. What a coincidence. We just lost one. He said, I think it might be the same one. He said, not Gary. He said, what should I do? He said, well, lock all your doors and windows and take the fruit bowls off the windowsill. He said, we're going to send a crack team around. He said, thank God, thank you. I'll see you soon. He said, no, I'm not coming. So he said, I'm too busy. And it is, if you've been to Paignton Zoo, you know how busy it is, flipping busy. I used to go there as a kid. I went once on a trip. Years ago, before it was all the perspex things, they used to have bars on the cages, didn't they? Do you remember that? And the monkeys behind bars. And I laughed because one of the zookeepers pushed through the bars of the monkey cage 5 bananas and a tin opener. said, they don't need a tin opener for the bananas. He said, I'm not stupid, it's for the custard. Well, trying to keep this clean. So we went to the elephant house, our teacher, Mr. Jones, with us, and oh my, the noise. An elephant was in terrible pain. I didn't know this. He had a thorn in his foot, the elephant. And I don't know if you've heard of elephant in pain. Shocking, I show it's like. Oh. And Mr. Jones jumped over the wall of the elephant and pulled the thorn out the elephant's foot. African elephant, bull elephant, stood up like that. We was all scared. Some of us went like this. Petrified. A couple did this. Bull elephant stood up, wrapped his trunk around Mr. Jones, gave him a cuddle, unwrapped it, and let him go. We all clapped, it was lovely. And about 10 years after that, Mr. Jones had these kids and took them to the circus, Billy Smart Circus. Do you remember Billy Smart Circus? And there was an elephant act on, and you won't believe this, all the way through it, one of the elephants was staring at me, doing all the tricks, but staring at Mr. Jones from the elephant. And Mr. Jones was staring back at the elephant. I'll show you. At the end of the circus, the elephant went across to Mr. Jones. Listen to this. Wrapped his trunk around him, threw him in the air, stamped on his leg and broke it. Tragedy, but it was a different elephant. So, gorilla. So the crack team turned up in a white transit van. Bloke gets out and he had a shotgun and a pair of handcuffs and Jack Russell. And the Jack Russell had black bother boots, Doc Martens on, black bother boots. And he walked up John Seaton's stride, knocked on the door, and John Seaton said, "Are you the crack team?" He said, "We are the crack team." He said, "Why is your dog wearing black boots?" He said, "His brown ones are being mended." He said, "Are you going to get the gorilla at the tree?" He said, "That's what we're here for." He said, "How are you going to do it?" He said, "I'm going to go up the tree, I'm going to climb up the apple tree, and I'm going to fight the gorilla. I'm going to punch him and kick him, punch him, kick him. I'm going to overpower the gorilla, put his hands behind his back, and put the handcuffs on him, kick him out the tree, and he'll land on the grass, and the dog is trained to jump on him and sink his teeth into his groinal area." Isn't that lovely how I clean that up? And this will paralyse the gorilla. This bloke's agreed. It's quite painful, isn't it, sir? Thank you. This will paralyse the gorilla, and we'll put him in the transit and take him back to the zoo. He said, "Well," John said, "what's the shotgun for?" He said, "Well, if I fall out the tree before the gorilla, shoot the dog." There I am.